Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video and normal Battle 3 for Heroes Jubilee. Once again, going back up to the max score, 235. Wants us to use a light nuker with, if you have the Freiren team, that's fairly easy to get very close to or just maxing it out, because FERN and Freiren just are way too good. But it does start with an interesting-ish hand. It is a singular enemy against the Orc, and he doesn't do that much. There's still poison, as always, so the 4-star Gobta will be able to handle that pretty efficiently. And then we've got a special convert for oranges, which if you have Raphael, then great. If you don't, well, there's other converters that you can use. But otherwise, the stage is fairly straightforward. So, disclaimers. Number 1, results may vary, as always, because I've got units and you might not. Disclaimer number 2 is getting these disclaimers mixed up. Number 2 is that these are the units I use for protection gauge. These are the units I use for skill points. I don't know if I use any skill points today, but whatever. And then disclaimer number 3 is don't forget to go into your town so your light nuking character, whoever that may be, can have the highest stats possible. But let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, normal battle 3, max score team, shock surprise, Freiren. So Himmel, FERN is going to be our nuking character because she's single target. Gobta, the 4-star summonable one that you probably pulled a million times but had no investment in, he has the poison dodge, it'll be kind of important. Water Soe for the skill fusion of the defense skill so we don't take much damage. And then Freiren and Raphael for their supports, and Raphael for his protection gauge and orb stealing and all that. If you don't have Raphael, you could use a triple orb stealer, or you could just try and RNG it to getting FERN's EX ult traditionally, and then bring like Water Shinsha from Wielder of Magic to get the protection gauge increase for oranges. Either way, it'll work. Missing out on Raphael's attack buff here would be kind of detrimental, but you already do way too much damage, as you're going to see very shortly. we only need to do 5 million here, and we do more than 5 million. So Raphael's skill, while detrimental to the big-time fun number, is not exactly what I would consider unnecessary damage buff. So it's not that big of a deal. But we've got 3 Freiren orbs, so we're going to take her out. We're going to steal the orbs, and then we'll bring FERN in, and then we'll use the poison dodge. We have to use that on turn 2, so we can negate the damage we take from that, and we can continue to take just 1 damage. But we don't have access to Himmel, so we're not actually getting that many points back right here. So we're going to have to kind of bank on getting some natural oranges next turn, and that works fine. So there's the dodge, there's the 1 damage, excellent. We need to nerf him again, which is why it's important to to be able to do this. So defense skill again, and we're just going to run with this hand. We're going to use Himmel to change those 3 existing orbs into oranges, and then we have 2 FERNs, which will guarantee that we get her EX ult here. And we've dodged the poison, we've re-nerfed his attack, and we've raised our defense, so we should only take 1 damage here as well. The turn limit is turn 5, so there's no problem with going past turn 3. Turn 5 is your max turn bonus. If you go past that, then obviously your score starts to drop, but if you can nuke him earlier, then great. But if you're not really set up for it, then it's fine. So, FERN's ready to go. She's got the EX ult. We just need to build up enough points to use the, all of our primary buffs. If you wanted to, like, you could use Raphael's skill right here. So the attack and the weakness strike, so we hold on to it on FERN in the back for next turn. But again, it's not necessary to do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This gets us 300 points. We need 270 to do the FERN buffs and the Freiren buff, and that's all you're going to need. So again, like just looking at these 3 buffs, if you were to add in Raphael's skill, it's very unnecessary. So turn 5, convert, okay, cool. FERN comes in for Soe, and Freiren comes in for Gobta. We've taken 1 damage for every single hit, that's great. And then buff, buff, buff. So Freiren, FERN, FERN, boom, boom, boom. And then we're just going to nuke this thing into total oblivion. And I don't care that he has defense up right now, because FERN does 10 million damage. Literally double what we need to do without Raphael's skill. So, like, if you don't have Raphael, yeah, it's going to make the stealing and the protection gauge a bit tougher, but we didn't use the damage skill at all, and it would have been unnecessary anyways. So, there we go. Of course, my FERN is level 120 and, like, fully rocked out, so, you know, if yours is only normal level 100 and no rock investment, you know, cut the damage down to maybe 8 or 7 million, maybe. I don't know if it's that drastic, but you're still over the damage cap, so you're going to be just fine. Alright, next team is the Antagonist team. Also gives extra damage against dark enemies, great. And we're going to nuke with our AoE Shinsha, because with the amount of power we have on this team, we'll hit the cap. We're not going to have the defense score, though, so we're going to take some damage. It's fine. But we've got Emils, we've got Kyokyo and Isis, who has Space Milim underneath her for the skill points, because we need that turn 1. And then Exalted Champion Rimuru, Hinata for the element buff, and then Shinsha as our nuking character. We need 36 points because we need to use the Antagonist Shinsha's Orb Change turn 1 to get that full hand of oranges. That way we don't have to worry about that. And we need to also make sure that slot 1 and 2 are going to be antagonist units of some way, shape, or form. If you don't have Kyokyo, you could bring Isis. If you don't have, if you don't have Kyokyo, you can bring Wielder of Magic, Visions of Coleus Violet. Holy shit, I'm getting mixed up. Visions of Coleus Violet. And if you don't have Isis, you could bring FERN if you want. She's just a lot more expensive. But, you know, there are substitutions you can make. But we've got a full hand right here. We're looking good. With the protection traits, we're going to get access to Emils on turn 2. Now, if you don't have that, maybe you got to change things up a little bit. But it should be fine. Like, you can bring, instead of Water Hinata or something, you could bring the Light Hinata or the Cleash, and you can convert turn 1. That would work as well. But here, we're going to use the Future Hand of Orange skill, so we don't have to worry about next turn. And then we're going to use the Vitalization, which gives us extra alt gauge, and orange damage, which is cool. We can lower his health down a little bit. And then Emils will give us the full hand plus the 2 rainbows. This gets us the EX ult for Shinsha very early, which is good. Again, the turn limit for max score is turn 5, so we have a lot of time to set up. And we dodge poison on 2 people, which is great, but Rimuru still took a little bit, so that's going to prevent us from getting like our best score possible, right? So unfortunate, but if you want to RNG and you want to dodge because you have some dodge earrings on, or some poison earrings on, then you can certainly try. But it's just easier to use Gopta. Or if you have Octogram Demon Lord Guy, that'll work too, because he's got Lord's Ambition, and that'll negate everything for you. But let's go ahead and use some of those buffs now, so that we can hold on to them, and then we'll make back enough points to be able to nuke on turn 5. And we've got double Emils now, we've got a lot of Rainbow Orbs because of the alt swap, and we're looking pretty good. And we didn't have to convert with Emils, because the future hand guaranteed that that previous hand would be all oranges, and it'd just be the alts. So here, we're looking good. 150 points. Let's go ahead and convert again once we swap out a few more characters. So we've used the attack buff, and we've used the Kyokyo buff. So attack, magic attack, weakness strike. And now we just need to make sure we have enough points to use the element buff from Hinata, the 2 skills from Isis, and then Shinsha's own alt buff. Alright, I dropped something. Okay. Alright, so we've done okay damage, and we can send these 2 ults, because they're not going to do that much damage, honestly. Like, we sent an ult last turn as well, right? And that didn't do jack shit. But here, I mean, maybe we don't do it here, because maybe we're a little bit too built up. But alt resistance, Drago, alt damage up, and then the element buff. And this will make Shinsha hit very, very hard. And then also the Pierce power from the Drago effect, because we're on a Pierce team. And this is the team that Isis is meant to be run on. So let's go ahead and just send Shinsha now, and she does 6 million. So 1 million higher than what we actually need as far as damage cap is concerned. But still within 5 turns. It's a pretty sweat-heavy team, though. There's a lot of new characters on here. So minus 257 for damage received, but max score, max turn bonus, and you're missing 257 friggin' points. Crimea River. So there's an alternate team you can get for a really, really good score. All right, next up is New Year's Blessing, an old team at this point because it's over a year old now, and it's certainly not going to hit damage cap, at least the way it's currently built like this. You could make substitutions and it'll work, but we're going to nuke with Rimuru. We are physical versus the stage wanting a magic nuker, so that's also kind of unfortunate, but if you have Freiren, then you don't even need this video. It's very easy. So here, we don't have an orb changer for turn 1, so we're just going to send all 4 oranges and not really worry about it. We're not worrying about our damage taken, and the turn bonus is still turn 5, which we can definitely do that, at least by getting all the buffs on turn 5, we can do that. We're not going to hit the damage cap, though, just straight up. So we've got 3 orbs for Rimuru. We're going to give them all 6 now. We're going to change them to rainbows, and then we'll bring in Benimaru for Shinsha, or Diablo, one of the two. Because once we get the EX ult this turn, we're going to use the attack buff and Benimaru's physical buff, and then send Rimuru away. So we can build back up to enough points to use the Milim, Shinsha, and Diablo skills. So we're looking good. Turn 3, everybody but Benimaru got poisoned, so unfortunate. But buff, and technically we can alt swap just to make our life a little bit easier. Like if you had gotten like a really bad hand, maybe that orange would have saved you for Shion. You definitely don't want to use her twice right here, but it certainly helps you out. And then we'll just take Rimuru out and hold on to his buffs in the back. We're going to lose the ult resistance down that Benimaru puts on, but we're going to put it right back up with Milim's skill. So really the only thing we're doing that is for the physical buff. And then technically, as long as we have enough points, yeah, we have 150, we can nuke on turn 4, right? We don't have to go to turn 5. With Rimuru. We're ready to go. So I believe let's just go ahead and do it. So we'll take Benimaru out. We've used his skill. We use the debuff now, and then we'll swap Diablo for Rimuru, and then we'll use the Milim and Shinsha skills. Boom and boom. And yeah, there's no real harm. He does have crit resistance on him, so crits inherently will do less damage here, which also is a factor of us not doing damage cap. But if it's your only light team and you have access to it, then hey, it's what you got. Milim's going to cut his HP down a little bit, and then Rimuru, mine is EX Unbound, does 2.5 million. So we're like halfway there or something. So it's not great. If he didn't have crit resistance, it would have been a little bit higher, but it still wouldn't have hit damage cap. But it's certainly a team that you might have access to, because it's older, quote unquote. Alright, the final team I have for you is a makeshift commander team. We do have a fairly strong single target light nuker in Hinata, so we're just going to build around her. Synergy power from Diablo, synergy, well, we don't really need this, but an alt swap and physical down from Glenda, the EX alt buff and the physical buff, and then Cleash for the turn 1 convert, plus Renard's alt resistance and weakness strike buff. Now, if you don't have this and you got to use some really, really bonkers old team, then you can go with like a light 3.0 team with Raphael nuking and Protector Shuna, full blue team, so orb changer, orb changer, orb changer, alt swapper. If you got to reach this bottom end of the barrel, then that's certainly an option for you, but I'm not going to show that here. So there's an option. Okay. So this team and that other substitute blue stacking team, definitely not going to be the best, but if it's what you got, it's what you got. We don't hit damage cap. We're going to go past turn 5 on this team, and we're going to take damage. So we're already not running super optimum, but it is what it is. So full hand of oranges from Cleash turn 1 means that we can jump start our alt gauge for Hinata, which is great. The charm that we're running is the extra secret skill gauge on blue orbs so that we can get Hinata's alt even faster, hopefully. And then turn 2, it's okay. It's not great, but we can burn out these 2 greens that give us a little bit extra skill points because of the Diablo skill, and we'll just do that, and we'll pray that we get like a full hand of oranges next turn with that 1 blue. And unfortunately, we don't quite get that. But because we have excess points because it didn't do anything on turn 2, we can actually use both converts. And 4 Hinatas is going to look pretty good as far as our gauge is concerned. It'd be a lot better if obviously we had a good turn 2, but if you want to reset for that, you certainly can. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, we've got the multi-hits, so we're doing extra chip damage against the orc. And now we're halfway up to getting our EX alt gauge, and now we just need to kind of continue to get orbs, which we're getting. So another stack for Nard, more weakness strike, more alt resistance down. Diablo, he can go away, and it's going to pull in another orange, which is great. So that this turn we only need to use the alt swap from Glenda and then the orange convert from Shizu, and we got a full hand. Plus these 3 orbs should get us the EX alt for Hinata, yeah, because of the charm. And now next turn, we're free to send her away. But next turn is also turn 5, which is traditionally where most people would be nuking. But turn 6 is where the orc loses all his defense, so that does make nuking a tiny bit easier. Just a tiny bit. At the cost of some score, right? But if you're using this team, you're not really concerned about max score anyways. So let's do the alt swap, let's do the orb change, and that leaves us just over 90 points. So we can actually bring Diablo in for Hinata, use his synergy buff, and then take out Diablo for Glenda, because she's got that extra blue orb incoming, and we still get our full hand of blue, which means that we can get the points that we're going to need to use the 3 skills, Glenda, Shizu, and Hinata. And this will work out. So he'll lose his defensive buffs, he'll lose his guard, he'll lose his crit resistance, which we're not on a crit-focused team, but it'll make him slightly less tanky, quote-unquote. Slightly. He still has like 500,000 HP or something, so we kind of have to bypass that. But the hand isn't that great, and with Hinata being the only one type advantage, and not with the protector who's giving her extra damage against dark, it's going to cut into our potential damage quite a bit. And that means that these 3 orbs for Shizu are not really going to do that much. Maybe it would have been better had I sent like the Shizu Hinata orb and then Hinata's ult. Probably, instead of just doing what I do here, which is just the 3 Shizu orbs. Because yeah, he's got 563k HP, and I don't think Shizu's going to do that much damage, so we do this. Maybe we could have cut him down some more. Oh well. But Hinata's ult does 2.6 million, which is still a far cry from the 5 million for the damage cap. But turn 6, taking damage, not the damage cap. It's an option. Again, you could use the substitute team, this one right here, and it's going to do probably even less, but they're very old units. Even Blanc, she's a year and a half over almost old. And all these other characters came out in like January of 2023. So maybe you got them, maybe you don't. But that's gonna do it for the normal Battle 3 stage. If you have any other teams that you use that can get a decent score, please put them down in the comments for other people to see. But that's it for me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.